Hello everybody and welcome back to a very long overdue Unreal Engine 5 tutorial. So in this one I'm going to show you how to create a forest kind of scene, setting up the foliage and the plane that we're going to add a displace value to. So without further ado, let's jump in and I'll get on with showing you how. So first thing we're going to do is, if you're starting a fresh level, then you want to go to new, basic and create. If you're doing this in your own game, then you're going to be using a slightly different technique with the brush tool. So I'll show you what I mean. So let's get rid of the starter floor that they add by selecting it and pressing the delete key. The next thing we're going to do is go to modeling tools, click on the rectangle, which is the plane. I'm going to set the subdivision to 100, 100, place into the level, click accept. Next thing we're going to do is make sure that the padlock is locked for scaling on uniform. So 300 to make it nice and large, and then we're going to adjust the UVs because they're currently very stretched. So we're going to scroll down in our modeling panel until we see UVs and then project. We're going to go up to scale, which is here, so it's currently set to 1, 1. I'm going to set to 80 and 80 and then click accept. And then we're going to scroll back up in our modeling mode until we see deform, and then we're going to click on displace. I'm going to select Perlin noise, select the displace intensity to 1, make sure subdivisions is 10, and then click the accept button. Once we've done that, we are going to texture our landmass, our plane. So we're going to come out of modeling tool into select mode. We're going to scroll down until we see materials element 0, and then we're going to apply texture. So I'm going to apply moss to this. So I'm going to select my forest floor moss and drag and drop on. This gives us this nice foresty floor look with some clover there by the looks of it. And then we are going to start adding our meshes and our foliage to the landmass. So we're going to go to the foliage tab in foliage mode, and we're going to search for the trees that we want. So I'm going to look for the pine tree, and in this tab I'm going to look for pine, but the one that I want to use, let's see if I can find it in my list. Pine, where is it? Excuse me, there we go. I'm going to drag and drop that into our foliage panel. I also want to add some large rocks. So we're going to select our 3 large rocks. These are all available in the Quixel bridge under cliff rocks. It's the ones with the moss on. So we're going to select these 3, deselect our tree, and then we're going to check the density and make sure we set that to 0.1, radius of 1, scale 0.5 to leave as default, 0 and 0 align to normals off, and then we want to make sure we leave cull to 0 and leave shadows. So then we're going to select fill. Now if you're using the landscape, fill won't work. Reason being is that this disabled that ability on landscapes because of performance problems, so you'd have to use the paintbrush. So you could do the same thing with the paintbrush, but you're just going to set the paintbrush size to a large value so it covers a bigger area. So go to fill, and then we're going to make sure these are selected but not the tree. I'm going to left click once, and that's added some nice rocks and boulders to our scene. We can do that again, Control Z, but we're going to set the radius to 5 to see what difference that makes, and then select. There we go, that's a little better. So every time you do this, it's always going to be different and random because it's randomly generating them onto the plane. So for performance, we're going to double click on our cliff, just make sure enable nanite support is on, so you can have nice high poly detailed meshes but with very minimal performance loss, and especially when you have many of them in the scene, you know, there's hundreds of them here, and it's not impacted the FPS at all. So then we're going to select our tree, we're going to deselect these three, select our tree and highlight that so we've now got it as the active foliage in the palette. We're going to go down to our density and select this value to let's say 0.1, maybe 0.5, select the radius to 15, scale 0.6 to 1.3, align normals to off, and cool distance 8000. Yeah, that'll do for now. Let's see what this looks like. So pick any spot anywhere on your scene and then just left click, and you can see there it's added trees into the level. Now we want it to be a little bit more dense than that, so Control Z, and then we're going to go up to the density and select 1 and then left click, and there we have our trees added to the scene just like this. And because these trees are on Quixel Bridge, I believe they're still on there, possibly, you can go into the tree's properties and enable nanite, so that give you again an extra performance when using large amounts of them. Now there is still a limit because of shadows. Nanite affects the mesh, not the shadow. So if you're going to have a lot of objects with shadows, you're still going to have performance hits even if you're using nanite, because of the detailed light interaction between these objects. So now that we've got our trees set up, we notice that some of the trees are slightly higher than the floor surface. So there's an easy way we can fix that. We come out of foliage mode, we left click on any of the objects in the scene, we look around until we find our move cursor, and we click and drag down, and that fixes that problem. So now we have our trees set up, we have our rocks set up, and then we can start adding our ground cover like ferns for example, or clover. So I'm going to type in fern. These are available on the Quixel page as well, on Quixel Bridge, as you can see here. So we're going to select these, and we're going to drag and drop, and then Control A to select all, decheck all of them ones so we don't add more trees and rocks. Select these, we've got multiple values, so we're going to select 60 with a radius of 15. We're going to do the scaling, it's 1 and 1.6, leave a 0, 0, align to normal, yes, because we want them to go with the curve and the movement of the land. Set the cool distance to 5000, like so, and then left click to add. You can see once it's finished loading in, we have some decent ferns set into our forest. We can tone that back a little bit, Control Z, go to our density and set that to 40 with a radius of 20, and then left click again, and there we have a little bit less, a bit more spread out. So that's starting to look better. And now we need to add, so let's deselect these. I'm going to add some ground cover, such as like clover, etc., and stuff like that, and twigs. Some ground cover. Let's see if I've got some. This one and these two, and this one and this one. So I'm going to select these two, make sure all the others are unselected, select density to maybe 90, radius of 2, scroll down to scale 0.2 and 1.3, and then cool distance for this we're going to set it as 3000, turn off shadows because we don't need them, and then left click, add them to our scene, so we can see there that it's added them in there nicely. We can enable shadows, but because of the small amounts of detail it will start to impact performance over time, so we disable it for now because we don't really need them to give off shadows. So let's add some sticks to our scene. So stick, let's see if we can find one. Okay, I've got one here. Let's drag that in. And now that we've got that highlighted, we can do density, leave it as 100, radius of 20, scale down to 0.1 to 1.3, cool distance of 5000, and then left click, add to map, and as you can see it's added these little small twigs into the game, varying different sizes. There's some there, there's one there, some more, so it's perfect, that's fine. And last but not least, you can continue adding more foliage as you see fit, but what we're going to do now is adjust the lighting. So we're going to go into our directional lighting and set this to 10, it's a bit brighter. You can do this as 0 as you want and have it as a night map, but obviously just for the tutorial's sake it's better to be able to see what I'm actually doing, you know, for obvious reasons. So what we're going to do is set the location of the plane to 0, 0, 0. There we go. And then from here we can change the lighting settings for a little bit of volumetric fog, so I'm going to set that to 3. So in your directional light we're going to set volumetric scattering to 3, and then we're going to scroll down and enable light shaft bloom, then go into exponential height fog, scroll down until you see volumetric fog and enable, and you can see the difference straight away. This just makes it a little bit better. And then we can adjust the position of the sun, add some detailing in, some better shadows. Let's just like that. And we've got some nice God rays going on, and then we can adjust the intensity of that volumetric fog. And there we have a really easy and simple way, very quick and efficient way of making a forest where you've not had to place. If you have stuff like this, it's really easily fixed. You just go into foliage mode, you highlight all, make sure they're all deselected, find your tree, which is this one, go to where that tree is, click the erase button, set the brush size to 10, and then you're just going to, oops, I'll make it a bit bigger actually, 50, and then you're just going to delete that tree. Very simple, very easy. You can add some leaves, some pines on the floor, little critters running around, some audio, some sound, but yeah. So thanks for watching. If there's any questions, leave them in the comments. You know, like, share and subscribe if you can. It helps the channel grow. It helps me make more content like this for you guys. But yeah, if you, like I said, if you have any questions or issues or problems with following this tutorial, leave me a message or contact me on Discord, or you can send me an email. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and bye bye for now.